Imagine waking up, checking your bank account, and realizing you've just made more money overnight than most people make all year without doing anything illegal, without a Wall Street job, and without even leaving your couch. One regular guy actually did that. Not a trader, not a billionaire, just someone who noticed a glitch hiding in plain sight. And when he pulled that thread, it made some of the biggest banks in America bleed millions before they even understood what happened. Here's the crazy part. This story isn't about hacking computers or insider trading. It's about how fragile the financial system really is when a clever mind pays attention to the wrong or right detail. Because while banks spend billions on risk management, one guy armed with curiosity and a laptop used nothing more than math and common sense to beat them at their own game. And the lesson from what he did goes way beyond finance. It exposes how systems built by geniuses can still be broken by simple human behavior, greed, laziness, and blind trust. Stick around, because by the end you'll see why the loophole he found could only exist in a world run by people who assume the little guy is too dumb to notice. Before we dive in, quick question for the comments. If you stumbled on a loophole that made you thousands but technically wasn't illegal, would you use it or report it? To understand how one regular guy could shake the biggest banks, you need to know how the system really works. Let's rewind to the mid-2000s. Banks were fat, overconfident, and running on caffeine and spreadsheets. They were trading complex products even the people selling them barely understood. They called them structured derivatives because casino chips didn't sound professional enough. The idea was simple on paper. Bundle up debts, slice them into pieces, and sell those pieces to investors who thought AAA rating meant risk-free. For a while it worked until reality hit, and the 2008 crash made everyone realize most of those fancy formulas were just wishful thinking with nicer fonts. After that mess, governments passed thousands of new rules to make the system safer. And for a while everyone believed it. But like every locked door, new rules just create new ways to pick the lock. Banks started automating everything, from trading to transfers using algorithms faster than any human. Speed became the new weapon. If you could make a trade a millisecond earlier than someone else, you won. And that's where our regular guy comes in. He wasn't a banker. He was a software engineer who liked puzzles and spreadsheets more than people. Let's call him Alex, because his real name never went public. One night, while playing around with stock market data on his home computer, Alex noticed something weird. Every day, at the same exact time, certain small transactions appeared, disappeared, and reappeared with slightly different prices. Tiny gaps, fractions of a cent, but perfectly predictable. To most people, it would look like noise. To Alex, it looked like a pattern. And patterns, in finance, mean opportunity. He spent weeks tracking it. Turned out the bank's automated systems were posting prices out of sync by a few milliseconds. They were literally competing against themselves. Each system thought it was updating the price first, but the lag made temporary price gaps appear. If you bought from one and sold to the other fast enough, you'd make instant profit, risk-free. That's called arbitrage. Wall Street firms spend millions to find it. Alex found it from his couch. At first he thought, this can't be real. So he tested it with fake trades. Every time, same result, buy at $10,000, sell at $10,003, profit in under a second. A fraction of a cent, sure, but repeat that millions of times and you're printing money. That's when Alex built a tiny program to automate the process. But mid-truth, he wasn't hacking anything. He was just connecting two legal systems that weren't talking properly. A bridge between two confused robots. And it worked. For months his account grew quietly. A few $100s became thousands. No risk, no stress. Just math. What he didn't know was that, on the other side of that screen, his harmless-looking trades were costing giant banks millions in liquidity glitches. Their systems were too fast and too arrogant to realize someone was skimming the spread they created themselves. Now, before we go further, understand this. Alex wasn't the first person to find a loophole like this. But he was one of the first outsiders, a non-banker to do it so cleanly that it embarrassed the entire industry. And that's where the real story begins. Act 1. The discovery turns into a game. Once Alex realized the loophole worked, he did what any rational person would do. He pushed it to see how far it could go. He tweaked his program to trade faster, using rented servers closer to the stock exchange's computers. Every microsecond saved meant more profit. He was now competing directly with Wall Street's high-frequency trading firms, without even having a license. At first it was thrilling. He'd refresh his balance and watch the numbers climb. It felt like beating a video game designed to be unwinnable. But soon he noticed something new. His trades started getting slower. Orders that used to go through instantly now lagged or failed. That's when he realized the banks had noticed. They didn't know who was exploiting them, but their algorithms were learning, adjusting, fighting back. The system was literally evolving in real time. It became man versus machine versus machine. Alex responded, the only way he knew how, by outthinking them again. He found other markets showing the same glitch. foreign exchanges, small commodities, even crypto once that started heating up. Everywhere he looked, the same pattern. Automation creating micro mistakes faster than humans could catch them. By this point, he was making serious money, enough to quit his job quietly and consult full-time, which was his code word for day trading his own algorithm. But here's where it gets interesting. The problem wasn't that Alex was smarter than the banks. It was that the banks were blinded by their own systems. They assumed if an algorithm said it was correct, it was. No one questioned the data flow, because questioning it slowed profits. That's the same psychology that built the 2008 crash, and it's still alive today. Greed speeds things up. Fear slows them down. And when no one's watching, cracks appear. So when a regular guy spots those cracks, the system calls him a glitch, not a genius. Act 2. The exploit. Every time he tweaked his code, the profit graph rose like a staircase. Alex had always loved solving puzzles, but this one was different. He was starting to feel like he'd cracked a secret level of capitalism. At first, the gains were small, a few dollars, then hundreds, then thousands. He'd sit in his apartment with a half-empty pizza box and watch the numbers climb while the rest of the city slept. No calls, no meetings, no boss asking for reports. Just him and a machine quietly beating the biggest banks on earth at their own math. He never bragged about it. He didn't tell his friends or family. How do you even explain that you're earning money by fixing the mistakes of billion-dollar algorithms? No one would believe him. To keep things quiet, he set up multiple accounts under small consulting businesses. That made the profits look like freelance income instead of trading revenue. He even built safety checks into his code. If any trade ever lost money, the program paused itself. Every day, it executed thousands of trades, buying and selling tiny amounts of stock in milliseconds. By now, the script was running on autopilot. The total gain per trade was microscopic, but together it was massive, a perfect digital snowball. Order flow restricted, irregular activity detected. He froze. Then one morning, he logged in and saw something he hadn't seen before, an error message from the exchange. The banks strike back. Inside the banks, analysts were scrambling to explain what happened. They thought it was sabotage, or a competitor running rogue code. They combed through their data trying to pinpoint the source. But every trace led to ordinary brokerage accounts, normal customers trading legally. Because Alex wasn't the only one who noticed the pattern. Once he stopped, others started finding similar gaps. It was like a digital gold rush. Dozens of independent traders suddenly realized the same loophole existed, and everyone rushed in before it closed. The losses grew. Within weeks, banks were bleeding millions each day from microtrades that made no sense on paper. They patched one system, and another glitch appeared somewhere else. To fix it, the exchanges changed how they synced their prices, a move that cost them months of coding and millions more in lost trading volume. And all of it started because one guy at home had noticed a few decimal points behaving strangely. That's the moment the industry realized how fragile their empire of algorithms really was. For years, they'd told the public the system was foolproof. But in truth, it was a pile of duct tape held together by speed and arrogance. Act 3. The fallout. When the loophole finally closed, Alex's profits stopped overnight. His accounts were frozen while regulators reviewed the trades. He wasn't charged with anything. He hadn't broken any laws. The exchanges simply refunded a few transactions and quietly changed their rules to make sure no one could do it again. The investigation reports never mentioned his name. They called it market latency exploitation by non-institutional participants. In plain English, a few regular people beat the robots. Alex's code was now useless, but his curiosity wasn't. He spent the next months analyzing other systems, energy markets, crypto exchanges, even online gambling algorithms, and found the same pattern everywhere. When people build systems faster than they can understand, gaps appear. He could have gone back to a normal job, but he didn't. Instead, he started teaching small online classes about market inefficiency, never admitting he was the guy who caused it all. He just said sometimes the system isn't broken, it's just too fast for itself. The irony? Banks later hired consultants to study exactly what happened and sold those findings back to other banks for millions. They literally made money teaching themselves how not to lose money. That's when Alex realized something deeper. He hadn't broken the financial system. He just revealed how easy it was to bend. The psychology behind the chaos. The real story here isn't code or trading. It's psychology. But banks lost millions not because they lacked intelligence, but because they lacked humility. They believed their technology was untouchable. They believed only other giants could compete with them. And they ignored the most basic truth in economics. If there's a system, someone will try to test it. That mindset overconfidence mixed with greed is what breaks markets over and over again. It happened with the dot-com bubble, the 2008 crash, crypto booms, meme stocks. Every time humans think they've invented risk-free profit, they prove they haven't. Alex's loophole was a mirror. It showed how the same arrogance that destroyed Wall Street in 2008 still lived on in the code of their machines. He didn't need billions or insider access. All he needed was curiosity and patience. While everyone else was chasing hype, he was watching patterns. And that's the quiet difference between gambling and strategy. Act 4. The result. For months after the loophole closed, Alex watched the financial world twist itself in circles, trying to explain what had happened. The official reports called it a minor latency event. The unofficial stories were way more dramatic. One man brought Wall Street to its knees. Neither version was completely true, but both missed the point. The truth was that Alex hadn't crashed anything. He'd just done what the system allowed him to do, and that scared the people who built it. Because if a random engineer could do it from his couch, what could a motivated team of professionals do? Behind closed doors, banks quietly overhauled their trading networks. They rewrote code, replaced servers, even added artificial intelligence to predict unusual patterns. It cost hundreds of millions to clean up a problem that started with fractions of a cent. Meanwhile, Alex stayed silent. He wasn't interested in fame or lawsuits. He just wanted to understand why a multi-trillion-dollar system could be gamed so easily. The deeper he dug, the clearer it became. The problem wasn't the code, it was the people behind it. Every fix created new loopholes. Because every programmer, trader, and executive had the same bias. They believed they were smarter than the next person. They wanted to be the hero who optimized the system, not the one who said, maybe we should slow down. That's how financial systems break, not from one big event, but from thousands of tiny ego-driven shortcuts. Alex once said to a friend, "It's like we built a skyscraper on wet sand. Everyone keeps adding floors, hoping the base holds." And he was right. Within a few years, the same kind of blind spots showed up again, just in different clothes. This time it was crypto, then meme stocks, then AI. Each wave had the same rhythm. Someone finds a loophole, everyone piles in, and the system panics when it realizes it's not built to handle human greed. The only real difference now is that the loopholes are digital, and they close faster. But they still happen because every complex system eventually forgets it's made of simple humans. No one ever officially linked Alex to the latency event. But people in trading circles whispered about the ghost trader who made millions off milliseconds. He never confirmed it. He just quietly moved on. Years later, one of the same banks that once flagged his account actually offered him a job. They wanted him to help test their new anti-manipulation systems. He politely declined. Instead, he published an anonymous paper online titled "The Human Element in Automated Markets." It didn't go viral, but within a few months, fragments of it were quoted in financial research and university studies. He'd become a myth, the outsider who forced the insiders to rethink their invincibility. When a journalist once asked him through an encrypted chat if he ever felt guilty, his answer was short. "I didn't break anything. I just noticed where it was already broken." And that's what makes his story so important. Because the truth is, you don't need to be a genius to beat the system. You just need to see what everyone else ignores. The real loophole wasn't in the code, it was in the mindset. Wall Street's greatest weakness wasn't technology, it was arrogance. They built a world where speed mattered more than sense, and confidence mattered more than caution. And that world punished them the moment someone curious enough came along to test their rules. It's the same in every corner of money. The person who questions the obvious wins. The person who understands human behavior wins bigger. The person who keeps emotions out of decisions wins longest. Alex's story isn't about rebellion. It's about awareness. Because every financial crash, every black swan, every broken system comes down to one simple thing. People stop thinking critically when they think they've figured it all out. And if a regular guy could remind the world of that with a few lines of code, maybe that's not chaos, maybe it's balance. You see this same loop everywhere now. Crypto exchanges collapsing overnight. AI companies inflating valuations faster than they build products. Retail traders believing TikTok tips are financial education. The same psychology repeats: excitement, greed, overconfidence, denial, collapse, and then surprise that it happened again. It's not new. It's human. That's why understanding money isn't really about formulas. It's about self-awareness. Once you know what drives people, fear and greed, you can predict almost everything. That's what Alex did, whether he realized it or not. He didn't outcode Wall Street. He outthought it. He saw what nobody else saw, that even the smartest systems are still run by people who want to win too badly to notice their blind spots. That's the real cheat code of money, not exploiting systems, but understanding the people who build them. Every time a regular person breaks the system, it's not really the system breaking, it's the illusion of control shattering. We've built a financial world so fast, so complex, and so dependent on faith that even small truths feel like explosions when they surface. Alex's loophole wasn't just about banks losing millions. It was a reminder that trust, not code, is what keeps everything running. And trust is fragile. That's why stories like this matter. They're not warnings about hackers. They're warnings about hubris. Because the moment a system starts believing it's too big to fail, someone out there, probably sitting on their couch, is already proving it wrong.